Gaming Vault presents 15 games where you control a giant mech. Among the many different feelings that video games can capture, the sense of piloting something larger than life stands out. It's that feeling of commanding an immense machine of war, destroying all those underfoot and going up against another metal behemoth. Such feelings are few and far between these days, but that doesn't mean history isn't full of stellar mech titles. Let's examine 15 of them here. XENOBLADE Chronicles X. No, it's not quite the same as Xenogears, but XENOBLADE Chronicles X does throw customizable skills at you for navigating the enormous world. With 3 different types, customizable weapons, and the ability to transform into vehicles, skills can help turn the tide in some battles. Also, they look incredibly cool, which is an essential part of owning a giant mech. BATTLETECH. Harebrained Scheme's tactical turn-based RPG faithfully embodies the spirit of the classic franchise. Taking place during the 30-25 Succession Wars era, players can command their own mech lance outfit, taking on various missions and attempting to stay afloat. Of course, mechs are available in abundance with dozens of different types, tons of possible weapon combinations, and limb targeting for that extra bit of tactical play and brutality. MECHWARRIOR 2 Mercenaries. Much like BATTLETECH, MECHWARRIOR 2 Mercenaries offered a strong level of freedom in terms of choice and mech customization. However, it also had a memorable campaign with numerous side contracts available to complete. In terms of capturing the feeling of MechWarrior, complete with all the rule sets, options and plot lines that resulted in such a hardcore following, MECHWARRIOR 2 Mercenaries is arguably the best in the series. Titanfall 2. While the first Titanfall was an excellent entry, Titanfall 2 builds so much on it. Along with a myriad of new multiplayer modes and a stellar single-player campaign, Titanfall 2 has 7 different mechs or titans to rock the battlefield. You can zip around with an enormous sword as the Ronin, burn enemies and control zones with Scorch, or rain justice from above with Northstar. It may be slower than the regular combat, but the feeling of executing a pilot by ripping them out of their titan is phenomenal. Zone of the Enders, the second runner. The anime influence on the first game didn't really translate into a stellar protagonist. However, Zone of the Enders, the second runner, improves on this while also emphasizing the fast-paced nature of its combat. Players control Jeheti, an orbital frame with free-flowing movement that can fight several enemies at once. Combined with long-range weaponry, close combat hack and slash, and an intriguing storyline, Zone of the Enders, the second runner, is a must-play. HAWKEN. The sheer variety that the mech genre can allow for is stunning, as evidenced by HAWKEN. The first-person free-to-play shooter focused more on PvP, but allowed for tons of customization and playstyles especially. The 10 available maps provided a range of different elevations and structures to navigate. HAWKEN is sadly defunct on PC, but continues to live on for Xbox One and PS4. Super Robot TAISEN Original Generation. The Super Robot TAISEN series has been big in Japan for years. Super Robot TAISEN Original Generation for the Game Boy Advance was the first title to hit the West and focus on original characters. It truly was an amazing tactical RPG, with every mecha trope you could think of. Huge capital ships with overwhelming weapons, robots that combine together, mechs with mythical powers. It's all here and wrapped up in an awesome tactical gameplay. Tech Romancer. A relic of the Dreamcast era, Tech Romancer represents a Capcom that was innovating in all manner of fighting games. It features giant mechs inspired by numerous anime, embracing conflicting styles while adding individual campaigns to each character, that too with branching paths. The real charm though of Tech Romancer came from just how much variety each fighter offered, from the rocket-punching G-Kaiser and samurai-esque Gurai to transforming fighter Rafaga and the Evangelion or Ultraman-inspired Pulsion. SHOGO, Mobile Armor Division. Ignore the obviously idiotic ending, and Shogo Mobile Armor Division was actually a pretty rad game. Developed by Monolith Productions, Shogo eschewed MechWarrior's slow-plodding style in favor of a more fast-paced first-person shooting. Anime like Patlabor and Appleseed influenced the overall aesthetic, as Shogo's story was chock full of cliches and plot twists. Nevertheless, despite poor sales, Shogo Mobile Armor Division is still a hidden gem of sorts. Armored Core 2. You'd think a From Software developed mech game would be cool, and Armored Core 2 sort of is. Sort of. It's more of a third-person shooter, but the level of depth and customization is truly exceptional. A lot of investment may be required to understand it all, but Armored Core 2's overall mechanics and gameplay, along with the robust systems, make it worth a look. Front Mission 4. Tactical role-playing titles and the mech genre seem to be made for each other. If BattleTech and Super Robot TITANFALL don't catch your fancy, then maybe Front Mission 4 will. Featuring a deep political story set in 2096, Front Mission 4's customization and gameplay could involve players for hours on end. Sure, the menus and the AI weren't perfect, but the sheer amount on offer, along with the stellar production values, makes Front Mission 4 stand out, warts and all. MECHASSAULT 2 Lone Wolf. A follow-up to one of the first Xbox Live-enabled titles out there, MECHASSAULT 2 Lone Wolf features much of the same BattleTech action. Customize your mech, roll onto the battlefield, and go head-to-head with other Goliaths across various modes. The sequel does boast a pretty decent campaign as well, and even if the on-foot segments aren't all that interesting, MECHASSAULT 2 Lone Wolf remains a fond memory for many an Xbox player. Steel Battalion. Have you ever wanted to control a giant walking battle tank? Like with an actual command console complete with 40 buttons and twin sticks? Well, Capcom offered just that with Steel Battalion. A massive controller available in limited supply could be used to play the game. With this level of realism, Capcom incorporated elements like startup sequences and even window wipers if the cockpit became obscured. The game itself was pretty decent, but if you must experience it, the controller is the main draw. RAD – Robot Alchemic Drive. Much like Tech Romancer, RAD Robot Alchemic Drive is a callback to the old days of giant mecha anime. Players have 3 different protagonists to choose from and 3 giant robots, each with their own unique properties. The biggest twist on RAD is the pilots operating the robots on foot via remote control. This presents some unique elements in traditional battles, especially when the protagonist needs to avoid danger every now and then. Cyber Troopers Virtual On. Sega's own giant mech fighting game faded into obscurity like many of its other franchises. Despite its odd controls, Cyber Troopers Virtual On, or just Virtual On, is still a gorgeously unique game. It was unlike anything released at the time, with its 60 FPS frame rate, 3-dimensional movement, and intriguing strategies. Popular opinion may differ on how complex the game actually was, but Virtual On remains a classic to this day.
And that wraps it up. If you like what we're doing, please consider subscribing to our channel. We upload new videos daily, so make sure you don't miss them by subscribing. We appreciate your support, and we thank you for checking us out.